Hey, today we're talking about neuron parts. And here we saw this one in class. We're really talking about different parts where we have the dendrites. Okay, they're receiving information. We have the cell body, which is the soma. We see the cell body that then sends information down here. Okay, down the axon. Here we see another picture of the axon. Right, and then we have this myelin sheath on the outside, which helps push the information, protects it, is sort of a covering. The information then goes down these branches, down to the synaptic knobs, right, and in between here and the next one is a synaptic space, or synapse. Okay, and here's a picture of, you can see some really lots of connections. One of the questions that come to my mind is, how do we go from one neuron here to multiple neurons, right, to be able to have complex behaviors? So remember, dendrites receive messages, cells direct activities, or the soma. We have the axon, which is a passageway. We have the myelin sheath that helps push the information and protects it. Right, and then we have the axon terminal that sends the information. And then we have a synapse, or a space between the neurons, to be able to jump over. Okay, so here we have the anatomy of two neurons, so we can kind of see where that's connected. Begin to see my analogy of the tree, right? Here we have our dendrites receiving the information, our soma going down the axon, right, protected by the myelin sheath. We have this space here in terms of the synapse. It jumps and then sends the information to the next neuron. Okay, so how many synapses are there in one neuron? So we're really looking at this little space here with the square. Well, I thought this picture was pretty amazing, because here we are with an actual picture of all these multiple connections. Okay. So yes, there's about 1,000 to about 10,000 synapses connected to one neuron. Here I thought these pictures were really cool. Here we have one end of a neuron, and if we blow this picture up, we can actually see all the different places that they can do. So if this neuron is receiving all these bits of pieces of information, that's what helps create our very complex behavior. Other types of brain cells that we need to know. The main one is the glial cells. All right, these glial cells provide the support or neurons to for them to grow on. I think of glial as glue. Right, they're the ones that hold it together. We produce myelin to coat the axons, clean up waste products, and dead neurons. So our glial cells here will clean up. Okay, so here we have, as kind of, I thought it was a cool picture to see it kind of connected. Right here we have, what's it called? The soma. Right, and here we have our axon. Right, and you can see where glial cells, sometimes known as astrocytes, right, are connecting here to help it going together, and on the other side it's connected to the blood vessel cells. Okay, so we can see how that is all interconnected. All right, so are all neurons equal in size? Well, here we have 3 pictures, and how many neurons are in the human brain? Right here, take a guess. Yep, 100 billion. Here we have the spinal cord, about 1 billion, and in our peripheral nerves, okay, we don't really have a count for that, but they do have identified the longest axon in the world, and that is about 15 feet. So it's kind of, I believe that's the one that goes from the toe up to the spinal cord. Okay. All right, so neural pathways. Right, there's multiple neural pathways. Right, we've talked about motor and sensory, and what's the more official term for that? That's right, efferent and afferent. And we have also some that are very dedicated to, for instance, pleasure and craving and things like that. Other interesting little tidbit here is that we know that neurons are altered with use. So we know that as we learn, new neurons are created, or new connections. All right, we also know that the opposite is true, is that if you don't use it, you lose it, and they will die off. That's all, folks.